shit, yeah, they breath stank. Walk up in the club, dripping like I'm fresh paint. I could see through the facade like an...
What's going on, fight fans? It's another great day when you love MMA. Welcome back to Matty Fight Talk. You can thank the coronavirus for this long break that we've had. I caught that shit, but it's gone now, regardless. Anyway, UFC 282 just went down Saturday, and it was a pretty goddamn good fight card. Most of the time, you never know what you're going to get nowadays. Sometimes it's duds. Sometimes the fucking UFC fight nights are better than the pay-per-views, but this pay-per-view delivered. Stat card from top to bottom, especially in the main card. But we're going to start off with some shout outs for the prelim fighters before we get into the main card. I wanted to start off by saying shout out to the 18-year-old Raul Rosas Jr. I believe that's how you say his name. That's got to be the craziest feeling in the world, to be doing the one thing you love, not even having to go to school, and then making $80,000 to $100,000 for your first big event. Shout out to that guy. Who do you got for the prelims?
Shout out to Jarizen Rosenstruck, Biggie Boy, with a 23-second first-round knockout over Chris Dawkins. He came back looking absolutely amazing. Fast start, and he put him away really, really spectacularly.
You know what was funny about that one is he learned a valuable lesson from Alistair Overeem. Sometimes you just got to say fuck it and throw those hands.
Yeah, also Chris Curtis with a big KO over Joaquin Buckley.
I did not see that happening, man.
No, I was just going to say Joaquin Buckley was tagging him up the entire fight. Looked like Chris was about to lose on the scorecards, and then comes back with a big left straight down the middle and puts Joaquin out cold.
That fight was interesting because Joaquin was throwing hard, but he was missing a lot. And that's what I was going for Joaquin in that fight, but I noticed that he was not landing the heavy shots he was throwing, and Curtis was tagging him every time he got the chance. So shout out to Chris Curtis, because I really thought he was gonna, I didn't think he was gonna win, judging off his last performance.
What did you think of the main event going into a split draw? Jan Blachowicz and Magomed. Nobody walks away with the light heavyweight belt for the. I don't know this.
I think it's very interesting. First of all, that Yuri Prochazka vacated the title. That's like almost unheard of. I give that guy a lot of credit for not wanting to hold up the division. I feel weird about it because at one side of me is like, dude, that's a lot of money. You're the champion. You earned the belt. It's not like it was handed to you. And then the other side is like, I respect that. So the vacant light heavyweight title was on the line between Jan Blachowicz, the former champion, and the rising #1 contender, Magomed Ankalaev, who just defeated Anthony Smith. That fight was very, very close. At the end of the fight, like, look, we don't need to break down the fight. It was back and forth. To me, I had it Jan Blachowicz 3 rounds to Ankalaev's 2 rounds at the very end. Ankalaev should have finished the fight. And if you're Jan Blachowicz, you hurt this both. Jan did some serious damage with leg kicks. If you guys missed the fight, hurt both of this guy's legs, had this guy limping bad. Ankalaev somehow survived to the 5th round and is able to take this dude down and put a beating on him. If you're Ankalaev, you need to finish the fucking fight. And if you're Jan Blachowicz, you need to batter that dude's legs. You need to break your legs trying to break his legs. I was blown away that got to a decision, seriously.
I think both of these guys just coming in, not being prepared for a 5-round fight and going, expecting a 3-round fight, and then in 10 days notice going into a 5-round fight and then going through all 5 rounds. It was just hard. You could see Jan was ready for a 3-round fight, but as it went into 4th and 5th round, he wasn't letting any takedowns happen in the first 3 rounds. And then, all of a sudden his gas tank just goes on empty and he starts getting taken down and beat up on the ground. So, I mean, it was really hard to decide. Obviously, I gave Jan the 2nd and 3rd round, and I gave Magomed the 4th and 5th round. But it really just comes down to how you decide the first round went. One judge gave it to Jan, one judge gave it to Magomedov, and the other judge put it right down the middle.
This is how I look at it. Magomed Ankalaev, that was there for the taking. Glover laid out a pretty clear blueprint on how to beat Jan. You take him down, you beat the shit out of him, and you submit him.
I think it was really interesting that Ankalaev decided in the first round to just come out throwing body kicks, like straight down the middle, deciding that he didn't want to grapple at all. I thought that was extremely weird, especially like you said, Glover Teixeira put out the game plan, take Jan down and wear him out from the beginning. If Ankalaev started grappling in the first round, it would be a totally different fight. I think
he could have won the fight. Go ahead. I was just saying he could have won the fight if he would have implemented what he did in the last 2 rounds from the very beginning of the fight. So for me, he lost himself the belt. The craziest part about all of this is the judging was very weird, considering what happened in the co-main event, which we'll get into. but you have a split draw. There's no champion. Instead of fucking saying, I won that fight, I want an immediate rematch, Jan Blachowicz says, he raises Magomed's hand and says, oh, he won, I lost. What an idiot. You're 39 years old. You don't have too many fights left in you. The fights you want to be taking is title fights.
And you don't, exactly, and you don't have, I don't think he's going to get another shot anytime soon. I think this was his last hurrah.
What I was going to say is I think that Ankalaev, like, I don't think Dana wanted him, like, I don't think he thought he won, and Ankalaev was so mad about not winning. It was just weird. And then the craziest thing too is that Dana White says in the press conference immediately after, which almost never happens, well, what do you do with a split draw and a vacant title? Well, I'll tell you what you do. You make Glover versus Jamal Hill in Brazil. And they're like, is that for real? Yeah, it's done. So there's your next title shot. That's what you get for saying I lost, you fucking idiot.
The way Dana explained it, and I kind of feel the same way, and you kind of said yourself, right? The title was there for the taking. You guys didn't do it. Glover's obviously, if anybody deserved the title shot, it was Glover Teixeira, and now Jamal Hill is jumping over both of these guys for a title shot. I can't disagree with Dana White. I don't think that I want to see a rematch between Jan and Ankalaev for the belt, especially when Yuri vacated.
Well, the thing is, yeah, that's the problem with the vacant title, is that it's nobody's belt. Dana White really can do whatever he wants right now. Right now, you can give anybody a title shot because there's no champion. There's no list that, okay, contender. No, you can pick and choose who you want now. You two fought. Both of you guys put on a shitty performance. The dude who we thought won said he lost. Now, you guys can fucking wait now. You don't earn an immediate rematch. You guys can rematch for 3 rounds to see who the next number 1 contender is. That's probably what's going to happen now. To me, it was a stupid move by Jan Blachowicz for somebody who looked like they won the first 2 rounds. I mean, I get it. You got your ass beat in the 5th round. Maybe that could have even been a 10-8 round. Maybe. But the thing is, you don't get up and say, I don't understand what these guys are thinking. It's not an honorable thing to do. You're in the business of fighting and making money. You shot yourself in the foot.
You know what really pissed me off is Joe Rogan and DC were praising Jan in the first 3 rounds. Maybe not the first, but the second and third. They're like, wow, he's really got him hurt, really got him hurt. And by the 5th round, Joe Rogan's like, Ankalaev is clearly winning. In my opinion, he was not clearly winning. There was no clear winner there.
And, that leads me to a good point. So what I do, for all you fight fans out there who really, like, when there's these weird situations, split draws, somebody, quote-unquote, gets robbed, you bought the pay-per-view. It's on ESPN+. You can go back and watch the main card. What I do is I put it on mute because now I'm not being a fan. I'm actually analyzing this fight for what it is. You put it on mute, and you just watch it. There's nobody saying stupid shit like that. You can't get influenced by the crowd. You're literally like, judging off the criteria that the UFC has out there, who's winning what round, right? Because look, Joe Rogan gets in there afterwards, like you're saying, Jan's like, oh, I think, I don't know, whatever. He's like, so you're saying you lost? Oh, well, I got to go back and watch the fight. But what you're saying right now is that you think you lost. No, motherfucker. He's saying it was a close fight and it could have gone either way. I mean, he didn't clearly look. It's just annoying. I don't like that shit.
No, I agree. I agree with you. And I didn't think that when, Jan walked away and he said, yeah, I thought Ankalaev won too. Well, you weren't preaching that the first 3 rounds.
And it doesn't matter what he thinks. The scorecards tell a different story. Right?
I just agree with it. And, it is what it is. Jamal Hill versus Glover Teixeira for the vacant belt in January.
I'm excited for that fight.
Fight, the co-main event, Paddy Pimblett winning a unanimous decision over Jared Flash Gordon. How did you see that fight going down?
All right. First of all, the fight was really good. People are saying it was a shitty performance. I thought that was a great fight. Both guys, Paddy Pimblett got tested harder than he ever has by a gritty veteran, by Jared Gordon. What I didn't like about that fight was that Jared Gordon was cracking him square on the chin. You could see the red marks on Paddy's face when they were going into exchanges. Paddy looked wild. Jared looked very, very technical. And as the fight played out, it was very even back and forth. I rewatched that fight, like I said, on mute with no distractions. And the first round was very, very close. Now, if you are going to give the whole fight to Paddy, you can't give him a unanimous decision. He clearly lost the 3rd round. Let me read the rule criteria right here. What factors do the UFC judges use when making their decision? The scoring system used in the UFC is based on 3 criteria. Effective striking and grappling, which Jared Gordon was winning the grappling at almost every point of that fight, except for maybe the first round. Effective aggressiveness and octagon control. Whether you like it or not, pressing a motherfucker against the cage is controlling the octagon. Unless you're just sitting there and you're getting punched in the face, I don't believe that Paddy should have even won the fight. I didn't watch the decision because I thought Jared Gordon won, and I was going for Paddy in that fight.
To be honest with you, I gave Jared Gordon the first round and the third round. And I gave him the first round because when there's such a close first round, like a round that's really close, you got to give it to the person who landed the bigger punches.
I agree.
To the person when every time Jared cracked, and he cracked him multiple times with solid left hooks. Paddy Pimblett in that fight came in and decided, hey, bro, let's throw right now. They had an exchange back and forth, and the person who landed the more punches, and I watched it in slow-mo on with mute, slow-mo back. Out of that exchange when they went wild back and forth, Jared landed 3 punches and Paddy didn't land, I think, maybe one, if you look at
the stats, Jared was mixing it up. He was going head, body, legs. He was very, very
body punches. He had more leg kicks. Paddy had I think it was kind of even on the head strikes. But if you're asking me, there was only one decisive round you could give Paddy, and that was the second round.
I think the first round, Jared landed the harder, cleaner punches. Paddy was landing too. But the problem with that is that Paddy went for a takedown and ended up on his back. So how do you judge that? Whatever. Regardless, the third round to me, I don't even understand how Dana White can sit there and say that when Merab just did the same shit to Jose Aldo, didn't even land a takedown and won the fight. To me, I don't know how any judge could possibly give the third round to Pimblett. He did no damage. He had his back against the cage. Look, what we really learned in that fight is that Paddy Pimblett got exposed. Jared Gordon, if he was anybody in the top 15, would have knocked Paddy the fuck out.
Let's be real. That left hook from Michael Chandler would put Paddy out cold.
Bro, that left hook from Beneil Dariush, that the grappling of these guys on the highest level.
And Joe Rogan said this too during the fight, even though I was just shitting on him, but he did say this that made a lot of sense. He said, I'm scared for Paddy. He has his chin way up in the air. And as you get into the top 15, top 10, top 5, like if he fought Dan Hooker, that chin you better not have that chin in the air that.
I posted this on my Twitter for all of you guys. Go out there, follow Matty 808 on Twitter. But I even tagged Paddy in this. I was like, bro, your career is going to go exactly like Darren Till's. You're going to be a big ass hype train. And then once you hit the top 15, we're going to find out real quick that all of it was just hype. Your weight cutting, the way you diet is terrible. That shit's not going to fly in the next 5 years when you're going to be peaking at the highest level. You're not going to be able to get up 200 pounds and get to 155. It just doesn't work, bro. And if it does work, then this guy's the man. But the way you fight, it's reckless. It's not technical against a guy like Jared Gordon, who's not in the top 15, for him to be landing clean on you. If he had any power behind those punches, he would have slept him. Now, maybe I'm just talking shit, and Paddy Pimblett has a way stronger chin than I give him credit for, which is, I mean, clearly because he didn't get knocked out. But I just don't see him getting past Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, Mateusz Gamrot. Like, that's going to be insane.
Let's be real. Jordan Levitt gave him a hard time in the grappling. He did win by tap out, but Jordan was doing a really good job nullifying his game plan and really pressing Paddy against the fence. Now, we found out with Jared Gordon is a purple belt or brown, I think brown or purple belt in jiu-jitsu, and he nullified Paddy's ground game to the absolute 0 mark. I mean, there was nothing that Paddy could do to him on the ground against the fence that shocked us. He was calling for a first-round finish and got embarrassed because people think he lost this fight. Now, let me tell you this. At 5'10", 27 years old, making 156 is not a fucking easy task when you get up to 200 pounds. It's not an easy task when you're eating cheeseburger and french fries and fucking taco night every night. It's not going to happen. Like you said, in 5 years, when he hits that 30-year-old mark, the weight's not going to fall off like it was when you're 26, 7 years old.
Yeah, look, I mean, regardless, Paddy Pimblett got the win, but what we saw is that he has a lot of shit he needs to work on, and his road only gets harder. But I want to go into the fight.
Honestly, I've never said this, but I'm scared. After seeing this fight, I am scared to see him in the top 15.
Well,
I don't think he has what it takes to make it in the top 15 right now where he stands. I think he should take a Sean O'Malley path. You fight a few more lower ranked guys, maybe break into the top 15, if even that. But
he's still on that path. I don't think they're going to feed him to a top 15 fighter. But regardless, he did win. And I want to move into the fight before that. So the third fight on the main card between Santiago Ponzinibbio, who was supposed to be fighting Robbie Lawler, ended up taking on Alex Morono in a catchweight 180 fight. What did you think about that fight? Because I thought Alex Morono, for taking a 10-day notice or 15-day notice fight, fought his ass off.
10-day notice, and this guy almost beat the shit out of somebody who had a full fight camp, who was training to fight a legend. Now, Santiago Ponzinibbio I'm a fan of him, man. He's been around a long time. He's had a hard road ahead of him, knee surgeries, been out for years, COVID. Poor fucking guy could never get into the title contention because of it. But I mean, Alex Moreno, he got a fan in me, man. He's a fucking dog. And he put an ass whooping out there for a few rounds. And if it went to the decision, I mean, Ponzinibbio had to do what he did, because if it went to a decision, Alex Moreno would have came in on 10 days notice and won a unanimous decision.
Alex Morono almost knocked him out in the first round. He dropped him really hard.
Really hard.
He was putting on a striking clinic, but the best part about that is the coaching on Ponzinibbio's side. They told him straight up, you are losing 2-0. You need to knock this guy out. You need to finish this fight. And Ponzinibbio did what any smart fighter should do, threw caution to the wind and cracked him hard and ended up getting a highlight reel knockout.
We're seeing this more and more often as these coaches are telling these guys, hey, you're going to fucking lose, empty the gas tank. And they listen to their coach and empty the gas tank. They're winning these fights at the end, at the fucking halfway mark through the third round. Very impressed. I
give Ponzinibbio a lot of credit because he was training for Lawler, who's a southpaw, and he ended up taking on an orthodox fighter. So that does, when your whole camp's going for a southpaw, it doesn't make it easy.
I have respect for both of these warriors. Great fight. Way better fight than I thought it was going to be. Alex Morono is a dog. He was on a 4-fight winning streak, and out of nowhere just said, fuck it, I'll take 10 days notice, cut down to 180 and fucking fight this dude.
Yeah,
that's everything about him. You know what I mean? So
Dana White came in the ring to thank him for taking that fight and putting on the performance he did, even in a loss. So that's how you know that was a good fight.
I want to go to Darren Till versus Dricus du Plessis. I mean, first of all, what'd you think about that fight? But let's just be real. Dricus is a fucking problem at 185.
Oh man, look, Darren Till, the first round, he shouldn't have talked to the ref so much. Give the thumbs up and keep fighting. Give the thumbs up and keep fighting. You're over here fucking making eye contact, talking to this dude instead of getting positioned to get up. So Duplessis, whatever his name is, he had a monster first round. That to me was a 10-8. The impressive thing is that Darren Till is coming off of an injury. It's been a while since he's fought. That is a high-level opponent. And he came back and could have stole the show in the second round. I don't know if he was tired or what happened, but to me, he just wasn't putting his foot on the gas pedal. Duplessis looked really tired. They say he breathes with his mouth open. That's what he says. But Darren Till should have tried to knock him out in the second round. He should have threw way more than he did. I'm not surprised.
He did. I think he tried his hardest. But what do you think about? Because Duplessis said this in the post-fight interview. He said if Darren Till wants a real chance of becoming a champion in the UFC, he's too small for the division. He needs to go down to 185. He's not as strong as the guys I've fought.
He needs to go down to 170. He's at 185.
170. He's not as strong as the guys I've fought before, which we've seen Duplessis fight. I mean, fucking big hitters. Brad Tavares is not a small guy, and all these other dudes that are really big at 185. So what do you think of that comment by Duplessis?
I think he needs to calm down, because when he steps into the top 10, which he probably will be doing shortly, there's a lot of tough fights there. So beating Darren Till after he's been on an injury and also getting hurt in this training camp, I mean, I'm kind of impressed, but at the same time, it's not like Darren Till was doing anything crazy. He's coming off of losses. Darren Till's not the young man that he was before. I agree. I think Darren Till should eat the weight cut and go back down to 170 where he was more successful. But then again, he got knocked out by Jorge Masvidal, and he got dropped and finished by Tyron Woodley. So he needs to I don't know what that guy needs to do. He might need to go to Bellator. So in my eyes, I think, what's his name? Duplessis.
What do you think? Let me ask you this before we move on, because I really want to move on to the Bryce Mitchell fight. But Darren Till being 1-5 in his last 6 fights.
Yeah, man, you need to step down in competition. I mean, he already asked to take 3-round fights. If you're going to take a 3-round fight, you need to fucking put your foot down on the gas. The guy looked tired. His body was tired. What I saw in that first round is if you guys remember this, when Shane Carwin fought Brock Lesnar, that's what happened. He blew his load, and what he allowed Duplessis, or whatever his name is, to do was to fucking recover. He let him fully recover, and then he put the wrestling beating on him again. That fight was for the taking, but shout out to Duplessis, or I keep fucking this guy's up, but shout out to that dude, because he ended up winning the fight, and he fought hard, he fought smart. I thought he could have possibly got a finish. I mean, if you're gonna go that hard in the first round, you should just put it away. I don't have nothing more to say on that. I'm not really impressed with Darren Till. Oh, he's Hamzat's training partner. Well, Hamzat's winning, so I think he's getting the better of the training.
I feel like Darren Till might be out of the UFC here shortly. I think he might be in the PFL or Bellator circuit here shortly. As far as Dricus du Plessis, I'm very impressed with that young man. I hope nothing but, goodwill on him. I really, really would like to see him work on his cardio because that has been a problem in his last few fights. But with that being said, if he can just round that notch, maybe cut a little bit more weight early on, that might be draining him during the the whole process. I'm not sure, but I'm very excited to see him break into the top 15. Now, let's get down to business, baby. Bryson Mitchell gets finished by Ilia Topuria in the second round, 3 minutes and 10 seconds into the second round. What do you think of that featherweight?
First of all, these are two high-ranked, undefeated featherweights. For whatever reason, this was the main card opener. This should have been the co-main event. I have no idea how that happened. But, the UFC has been doing that of lately, right? They had the Michael Chandler Gaethje fight. Maybe they're trying to blow the top off, whatever. But you got two ranked opponents. Bryce Mitchell's an awesome guy, really good technique, really good jiu-jitsu. Ilia Topuria, to me, is so good. I mean, I knew going into this fight, he was going to have the striking advantage. Now, everybody banks on Bryce Mitchell's submissions. I did not think that was going to be as good of a, game plan for him as he thinks, because Topuria, I don't know if you guys remember Ryan Hall, who was submitting the shit out of everybody in that division for a long time, met Topuria, tried to submit him, and got knocked out. So that right there opened my eyes to this dude. And Topuria is a sharp shooter. He went in there and was landing very accurate, very solid strikes right away, stuffed some really good takedowns. Bryce Mitchell had no answer and looked discouraged after the first 3 attempts of failed takedowns. I mean, Bryce is a good fighter, man, but Topuria is on another level.
This is where I try to explain. When you're fighting a striker and you're naturally a grappler, it's really easy to make these guys look like they can't defend a takedown. But when you go in there with somebody who can grapple and do it all like Ilia Topuria, who's a top dog, and you got to know it and respect that man's skills. Bryson Mitchell really went in there thinking he was just going to slam this guy on his back and ride him for 3 rounds. And once he got – this is the thing. You cannot shoot blindly. He was shooting without punching. He was shooting without kicking. He wasn't landing anything sharp and then jumping into a takedown. He was shooting, thinking, I'm going to take this guy down like I did Edson Barbosa, like I did everybody else. Who is he? Whoa. He's not. Well, we found out really fucking quickly, Ilia Topuria is absolutely the man. He's the man to watch at 140, 145 moving into the top 10.
Look, Topuria, the thing about that fight is that Topuria wasn't afraid to go to the ground with him. When Bryce did get him down, he didn't do anything. He kept Mitchell in his full guard. There was a point in the second round before he got submitted where he hurt Bryce and then took Bryce to the ground. Bryce almost swept him. But Topuria is a very high-level grappler. This guy is a serious problem. The fight that I would like to see made is Ilia Topuria versus Brian Ortega. Because honestly, I think if Topuria fought Josh Emmett of all people, I don't think Emmett would win that fight. I think that Topuria is going to be stealing a top 5 spot very soon. Whoever he fights next, it's not going to be a good fight for you. I mean, there's plenty of guys that this is going to be a good matchup for him. Like there's Giga Chikadze. I don't think that's a good fight for Chikadze. I think Ortega would be a very interesting fight because
mark my words, Ilia Topuria may not be this year, may not be next year, may not be anytime soon. This guy's the future featherweight champion. This guy is a future featherweight champion.
If I'm Paddy Pimblett, I will avoid Topuria at all costs. I know they've been getting into it and they had altercations, but I would not fight that dude if I was Paddy Pimblett, because I swear to God, he will steal your hype train and ride that shit to the top of the featherweight division. Topuria is one of those guys, bro. He could move up to 55 and fuck some of those dudes up.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that this guy is tough, Spanish made. I mean, this guy's, he has it all. I'm not trying to blow on his whistle, but this dude has the full package. I mean, he can grapple, he can strike. He came out of there with a dark black eye and he wasn't afraid of it. He said, I'm here to stand up and strike. I knew I was better at striking. I knew I was better at grappling. And I told Bryson I was going to prove it. And tonight I proved it. And when you have that type of confidence in your skill set, you're going to break into the top 5. This guy's going to be a world beater someday.
Well, I'm happy for him because, everybody knew who Bryce Mitchell was. And if you didn't know who Topuria was, I mean, the real fight fans know who that guy is and knew that Bryce was in the undefeated records were on the line there. I'm happy for Bryce for taking that fight. But to be honest, man, it was a one-sided ass whooping. But anyway, thanks for watching our video, guys. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon to be notified when we drop more content. Hit us in the comments.
Let us know what you think about the Paddy Pimblett fight. Was it controversial? Did Paddy really win? Also, let us know what you guys think in the comments below about the Jan Blachowicz versus Ankalaev fight and who you guys think won.
Don't forget, follow me on TikTok and Twitter at MadMatty808 and follow Crazy Chris on TikTok at Mr. Online Gaming 808. Was that right?
Just gaming.
Follow Mr. Online Gaming. But regardless, guys, hit us in the comments. We'll see you guys on the next one.